Welcome to the medical office software tutorial. In our previous video, we looked at the claim processing interface, the various buttons and fields there. In today's video, we are going to see how you can process a claim and complete it. Okay, so let's go to the claimant interface. So already we have the month of October loaded. Okay, so like we saw previously, you can load different months. Okay, so this is the month of September, and almost every claim has been processed. You have just a few pending claims, and sometimes you have to leave certain claims behind no matter what. Sometimes there are duplications, sometimes there are some claims that do not qualify. So in most cases, you would have some few claims still pending even after you are done with the processing. So this is normal. You also have a guest. Okay, so depending on the claims, it's likely all these months have been done, and then you can see why these claims have been left out. Most of the fields are blank and stuff. Okay, so back to the month of October. That's what we are dealing with right now. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, you can process the claims individually from this interface where you don't need to open the service. So some of our users prefers opening the claims one after the other and dealing with them. And others too would load the service. Okay, so if you load the service, you would have all the claims loaded, whether the ones you have completed and the ones that you have not completed. And if you load the individual claim, you would have only that claim showing. That is when the navigation buttons will not work. So this one, you can move from one claim to the other because we have loaded everything. And then you can also search with the hospital ID here. Okay, so once the search is successful, you have the search field background being green. Okay, all right. So let's open one individual claim and process it. So the first claim on the list, on top of the list is the 1269, patient's number 1269/23. So let's double click on it. Okay, so there is an OPD claim, and like I said, you can navigate to other claims, okay, because we opened just one single claim, and if you try searching, it will always flag a red background. So this claim has normally, if you open the claim processing interface like this, you can see some fields with the orange backgrounds. Those are fields that the system tries to draw your attention that there is supposed to be some value there. So those are places that you normally fill, you normally input values if they are not there, so that the claim can be complete. So this particular um, prescription has no drug, okay, and there is one diagnosis, previous CS, but there is no GGRG. So you can see that the GGRG section has been flagged orange. And then if you come, there is a first visit, but the second visit, which is also the end date, is not there. The service type is not there. The attendance is not there. The specialty is there. So the background is white. Okay. Um, the pharmacy has not been tagged. You have the outcome to is not there. So when you open a claim, especially outpatient claim, the first thing you do, even whether outpatient or inpatient, you still have to load the default. So the label is load OPD default because it will just put all the necessary values there. And if it's OPD claim that you are outpatient claim that you are dealing with, then just by loading the default, you are done with the processing. Okay. But if it's an inpatient, there are other things that you need to do. Okay. So the first thing you do, like I said, is to load the default. So the moment you load the default, it tries to fill most of the fields for you, and now you can see some of the the field's background has now changed to white. The pharmacy has still not been checked because there is no drug and stuff. Okay. So because there is no medication, we will skip this particular claim and then we pick another one. So let's close it and then pick the next one and see if this one too has no medication. Let's load the service so that you can move from claim to claim. This is a completed claim, so you won't touch it. You move to the next claim. This one too is completed. And most of the claims here are completed. Probably the person who worked on this claim was working on one claim after the other. So most of the early claims are completed. So let's move. Okay, so let's move to the last record. Good. So this claim is incomplete. If you check the down here where I have the cursor moving, the complete the completion button has incomplete. Okay, you understand? After we complete it, the label will change to completed. And that's why I have the I'm showing you the button. Now let's start with the medication side. So under the medication, you can see that the last fourth is orange, which is an indication that you can add a drug. Okay, depending on how we configure the system, some people we disallowed drug addition, some people to reopen it. Depends on how the facility works. Okay, so this particular one we have opened for additional drug to be able so that the claim person can add drugs. So you can add the drug at the orange section. If you click there and you type the name of the drug, is going to show up. So you can see that you have a list of drugs here that you can pick from. You pick a drug, the background changes, and it creates another new fold below it so that you can add more drugs. If you press enter or you press the tab key, it moves to the dosage side. So you can add the dosage BD by let's say 3 days. Okay. And then you put the quantity there, let's say quantity of let's say 50. Okay. This particular drug, okay, if the drug is not insured, you see that there wouldn't be a code. So the drug that I've picked, because it's covered by NHIS, there is a code. The moment you take the cursor off the records, the system will put the code there. So you are not supposed to put the code there. The system will do it by itself. And then you have to input the date. Okay, you have to input the date. If you move the cursor, you see there's a calendar here that you can pick from. So let me pick just today. So I'm done. I'm done with this particular record. The moment I save it, the code's background will also turn white. Okay. Now, if you check the second drag, you realize that there is no quantity. That's why the orange flag is showing on the background, telling you that you have to do something. So, as a claim officer, it's an indication that probably this drug was not served or something. Okay. If it was served, you put the quantity there. If it was not, because if you move, there are other columns hidden. Okay, if you move to the far end, you see this outcome. So if the drugs are served, there's supposed to be an outcome. Okay, so outcome you will see served, 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 served. If the drug was nil to, you will see. So because we move to the last record, it's likely we pick the data at the time when the dispensing side has not finished processing. That's why you don't see the outcome. So let's move the table to the left side. And then let's say this drug was served. So you can put a quantity there, which will not actually affect the stock for the dispensary people because this is just a copy of what they did. So let me put a quantity of 2 there and you can see the color has now changed. And if you put a date there too, the color will change. Okay. So let's say we are done with this drug. Now, in case you don't want this drug to be exported into the claimants. Now, this is the ID, this column, the DISMID column. The IDs you are seeing here links this particular drug, prescription to this attendance. So you can see that this is a claim history, this is the visit date. You can see that the visit date also has the same ID. So if you don't want this drug to be exported alongside, then you just have to clear the ID, and then you can see that this drug will not be part of the claims in case you want to take it off. But so far as the drug has a code, which is an indication that it's covered, and there is an ID, it means the drug will be exported. So take note of that. In case you want to put the code there back, you just have to click on the connect code, and then it runs the code over again. Okay. So this aspect is very, very important. It is the same with the diagnosis tool. The diagnosis tool has the same ID that connects this list of diagnoses to this particular attendant. Okay. So it's telling you that you can even switch some drugs from one attendant to the other. This interface is very friendly and easy to operate. Under the diagnosis tool, you can add some more diagnosis if you wish. Okay, you can also take off a diagnosis. You can take off it. Normally, we don't advise you taking off what has been put there. That is why we have this connect code. So, for record's sake, you can leave the diagnosis there and take off the code in case you don't want that particular item or diagnosis to be exported alongside the claims. You just have to take off the code, okay? And then the diagnosis will not move alongside. You also have the connect code here. So when you click on the connect code, it connects all the diagnoses back again. Okay. So now let's process these claims. In case you want to do any changes on the draft, you can do it. You can change the draft, you can add a draft. It's the same thing with the diagnosis. You can change the diagnosis, you can add a diagnosis. After your draft, because the main attention has to be on the draft and the diagnosis. Once you are done with that, if it's an inpatient and there is a need for a procedure, you can load the procedure. If it wasn't entered from the ward, you can load it from here. Once you are done with these things, then you have to load the default, or you can even load the default right after you load the page. It's the same thing. So once I load the default, you can see that it fills and completes this fields for me. And you can see this time it checked the pharmacy. So meaning there is an available drug. The system will not allow you to save if there is no diagnosis, but diagnosis is a must. So just take note of that. For drugs, you can process a claim without drugs, but for diagnosis, you cannot process a claim without diagnosis. The system is quite intelligent in a way. Once you load the default, it checks certain things and put them there for you. But after loading default, you also have to assign the GDRG, okay? Because these drugs were inputs from the consulting room, and the consulting room diagnosis register is open such that it gives them the freedom to input whatever diagnosis they need to input. So there are times when the diagnosis will not come along with the GDRG. If it's an inpatient, you have to put the GDRG there because it's a requirement. If it's an outpatient, you just have to click on this button, assign OPD GGRG, and it assigned the GGRG for you. It will check whether this person is an adult, and then it will check the kind of claim that you are processing and put the GGRG for you. Okay, so once the GGRG has been assigned and the default also has been loaded, we are done. We are done. I talk plenty because this is the very first claim we are working on. So let me just save it. After saving it, you can complete. Now, anytime you are completing a claim, make sure you have worked on all the orange colored fields. So you can see currently there is no orange colored field here. The one we are seeing here, the second drag has no date, so we have to input it there. We have to put the date there. Let's say 31st October, and then now let's save it. Okay, so apart from the field where you can add additional drags, every orange colored field is gone, and it's likely our claim is safe, and for that matter, we can complete it. Okay, so let me complete this claim, and that is it. Then I can move to another claim. Okay, so when I move to the next claim, okay, so I loaded this claim as an individual claim, so it's not going to allow me to move to the next claim. Okay, no, because I moved to the last claim. So the next button is not going to work. So I think I can use the back. Okay, so there's another claim. You can see that you have these orange fields. When you load, you just load it, you assign GGRG, you save it. Okay, had it not been these quantities that are missing, we could have just complete the claim like that. Okay, so it's very, very simple. So this one, I think the drugs are there, the diagnoses are there. So it's going to be simple for us. We just have to load the default, we assign GGRD. But mind you, this is an inpatient claim. So you realize that the moment you want to apply the assign, whilst it's an inpatient claim, it will put the zoom there. So take note of that. So meaning if it's an inpatient, you have to put your own GGRG there. If you try to run assign OPM, that is why I have the OPD in bracket. The moment you want to assign it, it will check that probably because Zoom cases are also under OPD. So it considered the system considers this particular claim as what do you call as a detained case, because you can see there are certain indicators that the system will check to know that the person at least was at the ward. So that is why you are seeing the zoom there. Okay. So if it's an inpatient claim you are working on, you may not have to just assign the OPD GGRG. But for the load default, you can do that. Okay, whilst you change the other figures. Okay, so let's move back again. Okay, so this is a typical OPD claim. So we load default, we assign GGRG, and then we come here and then we can input the quantity here. Let's say 3. Okay, and then this particular drug has no code, meaning is a drug that is not covered by insurance per the facility. Okay, that's why there is no code. So it means this particular drug will not be exported. It will remain on the interface. It will not be exported because there is no code. Okay, so if you realize that the drug is covered by insurance and there is no code, quickly you need to prompt the person in charge of the pharmacy to make sure the code is there. Other than that, it's not going to move alongside. And then this drag too has no date, so I need to put the date there. I need to put the date there so that okay. So I'm done with this particular claim. I can now save it and complete it. Okay. So I can now close the page. If you are done, you can just close it. It's the same thing. If you are dealing with the individual claims too. Now with those using the old version, when you close it, you have to pick the month again to refresh the page so that the process claim, the pending claim will move to the process side. Okay. And if you are done and you want to export, like we saw in the previous video, you use the set query. You need to set the query. We set it to October. It's still there. And then you just click on export claim. You click on export claim, it's going to export these claims onto a folder on the machine so that the claimant can pick the file from. Thank you very much. I believe this video would help you to be able to process your claim. And in case you have any challenge, any question, please don't hesitate to contact us for a support. Thank you very much. Bye.